Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something a little different. Instead of talking about manga, we're diving into a manhwa. That's right, this new format is gaining more and more popularity, and I'd love to know what you think about this new direction on the channel. So, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, because today we're jumping into a story full of emotion and action. And of course, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments at the end. Okay? Now, let's stop talking and get into the story. The image is a close-up of a manga panel showing a blonde-haired woman, viewed in profile, taking a shower. Water is falling over her. Dark-haired man sitting on a toilet in a bathroom. He appears to be uncomfortable or struggling, as indicated by the Chinese/Japanese sound effects, poo, nearby, which usually represent effort-related sounds. A window in the background shows what seems to be a helicopter or similar aircraft. Near the toilet, there's a blue bucket with cleaning supplies, suggesting the setting might involve cleaning after bathroom use. The main panel shows a close-up of a dark-haired man holding a toothbrush. In the background, through a window, we see another character, a woman in a dark suit, clinging outside the window. She seems to be in danger or an emergency, given her expression and position. There are near the window, probably representing a breaking or impact sound. The panel suggests suspense or action, with a stark contrast between the man's apparent calmness in the foreground and the tense situation of the woman outside. It shows a profile view of a young man with dark blue hair. Above him, there's a speech bubble with the text, "Can't you see I'm cleaning the bathroom? Is there something important to say? If not, just leave." The text indicates an interruption where the character is irritated about being disturbed while cleaning. The top panel shows an aircraft or flying vehicle approaching and apparently colliding with a structure. The bottom panel shows a dark-haired character in a formal dark outfit escaping a damaged external staircase after the collision. The character is moving away towards some vegetation. The art suggests an action scene, with the falling or destroyed aircraft causing building damage and forcing the character to flee. The top panel shows a long blonde-haired woman with part of her face covered by her hair. She's in a bathroom or shower, seemingly wet. The sound effect "hualala" suggests the sound of water. The bottom panel has a speech bubble saying, "Shun Ran, bring me a towel," indicating she's asking someone named Shun Ran for a towel. The first panel shows a man in a sleeveless shirt cleaning a window. There's a speech bubble above him saying, "My wife is calling me." Inside the window, a small image of another character yelling, "Boss, wait, I'm not done yet." The second panel shows the man being scolded by a second character, likely his wife, who is visibly angry. A speech bubble says, "Hurry up and get out of here, and don't let my wife see you, or I'll kill you." The third panel shows the man, apparently scared, replying, "Why yes, boss." The panel depicts a man in a suit and tie descending a ladder attached to a helicopter or similar aircraft. The background is a clear sky. Chinese sound effects, so, suggest fast movement and wind noise. The pose and perspective convey action and speed. The image shows a sequence of speech bubbles in a manga or webtoon in Portuguese. The speech bubbles contain the following dialogue. Bubble 1, "I don't know what the king of crime did." Bubble 2, "Underworld Emperor," apparently a title or character ID. Bubble 3, "Ming Wang, what's wrong with you?" The image has no visual art, only a background with light brown and blue tones. The lack of visuals suggests this part focuses on dialogue and narrative development, possibly before or after an action scene or revelation. The main panel shows the back of a character with short blue hair, wearing a dark blue coat. In the background, city lights suggest a nighttime setting. To the right, partially visible, is another dark-haired character in a dark suit, looking calm or observant. There's a light smoke trail behind the main character, hinting that they might be smoking. The digital art style, with colors and shading, creates a mysterious urban atmosphere. The framing and focus on the main character's back suggest suspense without revealing their face or intentions. This nighttime urban setting likely involves a mysterious or tense event. The panel shows a man with dark blue hair, holding a towel. A speech bubble above him says, "I brought the towel here, will you take it?" The setting is a simple bathroom. The digital art features soft colors and clean lines, depicting a calm scene, likely continuing from a previous request for a towel. The top panel only has a speech bubble saying, Shun Ran, suggesting someone is calling this name. The bottom panel shows a close-up of a male face, likely Shin Ran, with blushing cheeks and a shy or embarrassed expression. A hand appears to be gently touching his hair. The digital art style has soft colors and clean lines, implying a romantic or flirtatious interaction where Shun Ran is reacting shyly to being called. The panel shows a blonde woman, seemingly just out of the bath, in a bathroom. She's partially covered in steam or mist. Two hands, apparently from someone else, are offering her a large towel. The digital art style uses soft colors and clean lines, suggesting an intimate, possibly romantic interaction focused on handing her the towel. The lack of dialogue highlights the atmosphere and actions. The panel shows a scene where a dark-haired man is holding a blonde woman who seems embarrassed or uncomfortable. There are two speech bubbles. The first says, I, and the second, I feel a little dizzy. The digital art style uses soft colors and clean lines, depicting an intimate moment where the woman appears vulnerable or embarrassed. Their interaction seems romantic or emotional, possibly continuing from a previous situation in the manga. The top panel shows a blonde woman hugging a man. She appears wet, and there are Chinese sound effects, likely representing water sounds. The bottom panel has a speech bubble saying, This is the first time I've touched her. This suggests the man feels embarrassed or surprised by the physical contact. The digital indicating a development in their relationship. A young man with dark hair, wearing a white tank top and dark shorts, stands casually inside a glass-paned door. He holds a small rectangular object, possibly a phone, in his hand. A crescent moon-shaped pendant hangs from a necklace around his neck. He appears calm and observant. The manga panel shows a speech bubble containing the text, Shun Ran, Eu preciso ir, which translates to, Shun Ran, I need to go. The text is surrounded by stylized exclamation marks. The background is a blurry, textured image. Against a backdrop of barren trees, a family portrait unfolds. A woman in a light blue gown and hat stands beside a man in a dark suit and sunglasses. Their young daughter, wearing a white sweater and pink skirt, holds her father's hand. The scene evokes a somber yet composed atmosphere. A young girl hugs a surprised boy. The girl declares, When I grow up, I'll be Shin Ran's bride. The scene takes place before a background of leafless trees. A young girl comforts a tearful boy. A speech bubble reveals a tragic update. Unfortunately, when I found her, she had already suffered a car accident. A young man, wearing a tank top and necklace, looks downcast. A thought bubble above him reads, She lost her memories and forgot about me. A phone rings repeatedly, indicated by multiple ring, ring sound effects. A hand holds a ringing phone. 2 ring sound effects are visible above the device. A man, wearing a headset and suit, sits at his desk. He receives urgent news. Boss, listen to this. My sister's company produced a new batch of cosmetics. The first lot was made, but they were all stolen last night, and these cosmetics were supposed to be delivered tomorrow afternoon. Even if they could be reproduced now, it'll be too late. A man on a phone call cuts off irrelevant chatter, demanding, Enough with the chatter. Let's focus on the important part. Who did this? The response reveals the culprit is a rival company, Chen Guang, and the stolen cosmetics are headed to an abandoned factory near Beicheng. The comic shows a building exterior, followed by a scene inside a warehouse. A man in a dark jacket is seen from behind, exhaling smoke, amidst stacks of boxes. A man in a suit, smoking a cigar, gives instructions to 2 associates. Some of you take these cosmetics to Hanyun City tonight, change the packaging, and sell them on the streets. I'll pay you what you sold them to me for, plus a 500,000 bonus. A speech bubble proclaims, Good business, but unfortunately, you won't have that opportunity. Below, a character's face is partially visible, and the panel ends with a series of stylized exclamation marks. A young man in a light-colored jacket and pants walks purposefully forward. The ground beneath him is depicted with speed lines, suggesting rapid movement. It confronts a younger man, demanding, Hey kid, Who are you? He continues. What do you think you're doing here? Get out now. A young man adjusts his collar, a menacing look on his face. A speech bubble above him asks, do you want to die? Below, a sound effect suggests a pain scream. ARRRRRRRGGGHHHH. A man in a suit, wearing sunglasses, furiously shouts, how dare you hurt my brother? Attack him. Let's kill him. Speed lines radiate from him, emphasizing his rage. A man in a suit lunges toward another man, who is wearing a light-colored jacket and seems to be ignoring the attack. A woman with long hair is partially visible in the lower left corner of the frame. A young man in a light jacket swiftly moves, sending two other figures flying backward with powerful blows. Speed lines and impact effects accentuate the dynamic action. A young man, wearing a necklace with a tooth-shaped pendant, questions another individual, stating, who are you? I don't remember you. I never wronged you. A man in sunglasses and a suit, smoking a cigar, declares, you don't need to know who I am. You offended Zhao Lixue, and you're the one who offended me. He continues, I thought about who you might be, but you're here because of Zhao Lixue. Even if you help her recover her things this time, remember, there won't be a next time. A young man grabs an older man by the throat. The older man is then shown on the ground, defeated. A speech bubble from the younger man asks, do you think there will be a next time? The final panel shows a defeated, drooling man with a speech bubble saying, murder is illegal. If you kill me, you'll be hunted down until death. Here's a short narrative based on the provided comic strip. A man in a white jacket confronts another, his expression serious. He states, of course, I won't break the law, but I have many ways to make your life a living hell. I'm giving you one last chance. The threatened man is shown partially, his face obscured, suggesting fear or submission. The background depicts a blurred motion, possibly symbolizing the potential consequences. A man in a suit lies on the ground, seemingly defeated. A voice commands, return all the items personally, immediately to the company. You will also compensate for the loss. Another person, their face partially visible, responds, let's see. You'll have to pay 10 times the price of each item, apologize, and then I'll consider letting this incident go. A man, his face etched with a sneer, scoffs at a proposition. The speech bubble above him reads, compensate them tenfold and apologize? Do you think that's possible? His expression suggests disbelief and perhaps contempt for the offer. A man confidently declares, you can recover all the items, but apologizing and compensating is impossible. Even if you call the police, I'm not afraid. He then casually asks, so, your company is called Jo Cosmetics, right? His calm demeanor suggests a sense of superiority. A man in a suit sneered, how do you know? Another panel showed a different scene. The suited man scoffed, ha! How dare this brat threaten me? What can he possibly do? He then added, just wait, kid. I'll teach you a lesson for messing with the wrong person. A speech bubble above the scene reads, Jo Cosmeticos, legal name. Another bubble reveals, it's a shame that it will be closed today. The image shows a young man with dark hair, his expression pensive. A large speech bubble filled with the repeated word, haha, trails above a man in a suit sprawled on the ground, laughing uproariously. One speech bubble declares, who do you think you are? You're just a dog sent by Zhao Lixue. Another says, kid, I just want to see what you can do against my company. Finally, a third bubble states, look, before the stock market closes today, I want to see the Jo Cosmetics company in the city of Tanghai. A speech bubble shows the word pa, a sound effect suggesting a sharp, sudden noise. A man in a white suit is on a phone call, his back to the viewer. Nearby, another man lies on the floor, seemingly unconscious. The scene is set in a warehouse with boxes stacked high. One speech bubble contains the statement, you think just one phone call will ruin my Jo Cosmetics? Ha 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 ha. Another bubble adds, my company, Jo Cosmetics, is one of the 50 best in Tanghai. A speech bubble reads, I hope you'll say the same after I finish smoking 2 cigarettes. The image shows a man in a light-colored suit picking up a lighter. A man with dark hair takes a drag from a cigarette. Multiple speech bubbles in the next panel repeat the word ring, indicating a phone ringing repeatedly. A phone rings insistently. Ring. A man in a suit sits on the floor of what appears to be a warehouse, muttering, "Huh." The sound of a thump, is heard, and then silence. A man smirks while smoking a cigarette. A following speech bubble urgently states, "Mr. Chan, something big happened. Our company was attacked. Our stocks are falling rapidly and already dropped 40%. A man in a suit looks at a large screen showing a sharply declining stock market graph. Another man stands beside him, clearly alarmed. Multiple smaller screens around them display similar negative trends. A man in a suit shouts into his phone. One speech bubble exclaims, "How is this possible? Yesterday our company and the Shumi company made a partnership. How did we lose our stocks?" Another bubble explains, "Because of the sudden termination of the partnership with the Shumi company and the release of this news, the price of our stocks fell rapidly." Two men in suits stand on a red carpet, one in a dark suit, the other in light blue. They are facing each other near a counter displaying several bottles of wine. Above them hang two circular emblems. One speech bubble instructs, "Immediately contact all major shareholders and get them to stop selling." Another bubble reports, "The president stopped selling, but most shareholders are still selling, so the price keeps falling." The image shows several men in suits, looking concerned. A man in a suit looks shocked and distressed. A speech bubble above him contains the words, "You, what the hell are you?" The panel also shows a sound effect suggesting a sudden impact or burst of energy. A man in a white suit tells a man in a dark suit, "You still have a chance before the stock market closes. I can let my staff leave, so that your company can at least be maintained." The man in the dark suit is falling to the ground, a sound effect indicating a hard impact. He pleads, I promise. Please stop." A sharply dressed man, seemingly confident, stands before another, whose back is turned. He issues a stark ultimatum. "If you don't promise me when the stock market opens, it will be when your cosmetics company goes bankrupt." The threat hangs heavy in the air. The man's posture suggests a power imbalance. Overcome by the threat, the subordinate immediately submits, declaring, "I promise I will follow any order, sir." He kneels in a show of complete subservience. On a phone call, a man confidently declares, "Stop now. I'll be off the grid for a while. Let's end this game." The recipient replies simply, "Okay. Everything will be fine." A man in a white jacket walks away, leaving a cowering figure behind. He ominously states, "This will be your last chance." A man in a white suit walks away, his back to the viewer. A speech bubble above him warns, "If you can't do this, you'll be putting yourself at risk." The implication is that he's facing a dangerous situation. A phone rings. A stressed-looking man answers, "Hello." He then receives an update. "General Manager, the stock market stabilized, it stopped falling, and there are signs of recovery." A man sits on a rooftop, looking relieved. He exclaims, "Phew, that's great." The scene suggests a moment of respite after a stressful event. A man on a phone call receives some unwelcome news. The caller explains, "But they also said, not to offend, but if people don't cooperate, it will end and there will be no recovery." The man on the phone responds tersely, I understand." A man contemplates the situation, muttering to himself, "What kind of monster did I offend?" His expression suggests bewilderment and possibly fear. The scene shows a tall apartment building. A speech bubble exclaims, "Are you telling the truth?" The implication is that someone is questioning the veracity of information received. A woman reports to CEO Zhao, "CEO Zhao, I don't know who sent the stolen cosmetics to our company's door, but I sent someone to check and discovered there were many blocked batches." The woman's calm demeanor contrasts with the seriousness of the report. A woman on a phone call receives instructions. "Okay, check immediately, maybe someone has been manipulated. If the batches are still intact, they should be monitored carefully, and don't let the same incident happen again." She responds cheerfully, "Okay, director." A woman in a purple dress stands before a window, dramatically pulling back the curtains. The word whoosh appears above her, illustrating her action. A woman stands by a window, lost in thought. Her internal monologue reveals uncertainty. "I don't know if it's the bandits doing or if some specialist is secretly helping me, but it certainly touched my heart." Her expression is one of pensive reflection. A close-up on a woman's face shows her blushing and looking surprised. A thought bubble above her asks, "Is that?" suggesting she's noticed something unexpected. A man in a white suit methodically sweeps a stone pathway in a garden setting. Leaves are scattered around him, suggesting a serene, possibly contemplative scene. From a balcony, a woman calls out, "Shinran, come here and wash my feet." A man in a white jacket, seen from behind, simply replies, "Oh, okay," and starts walking towards the building. A woman, dressed in a purple top, smiles expectantly. A speech bubble above her says, "Hurry." She seems to be waiting impatiently for something. A man arrives carrying a basin, saying, "Okay, I'm here." The following panel shows a close-up of a woman's eye, suggesting she's observing him with a mixture of anticipation and perhaps wariness. A woman, elegantly dressed in a purple dress, sits on a couch, one slipper already off. She requests, "Help me wash my feet." Her relaxed posture contrasts with the request's implication of a power dynamic. A young man, visibly flustered, holds a basin. Steam seems to emanate from his head, and his flushed cheeks and wide eyes suggest nervousness or embarrassment. The background features strawberries, enhancing the feeling of a light-hearted, perhaps romantic, scene. A man begins to wash a woman's feet. He says, "Okay, let's begin." He explains, "She's been very worried lately. I'll give her a good foot massage. Let her relax for a while." The woman looks relaxed and content. A woman's face is shown, blushing and eyes wide. Sound effects suggest a pleasant sensation. A speech bubble exclaims, "Ah," implying she's experiencing enjoyment or relief. As the car sped forward, the tire screeched against the pavement, sending a sharp sound slicing through the air. The driver gripped the wheel tightly, adrenaline pumping. In a moment of urgency, they pushed the accelerator down, feeling the surge of power beneath them. "We have to get out of here," they shouted, determination igniting their voice. The world outside blurred as they raced away, leaving everything behind in a cloud of dust and noise. Xiao Zhao arrived at the venue, stepping out of the car with purpose. A colleague approached her, slightly flustered. "Xiao Zhao, you've arrived. Chen Guang is here, and he's waiting for you in the conference room." Zhao nodded, adjusting her outfit, ready to face the meeting ahead. With a determined look, she headed towards the conference room, focused on the task at hand. Xiao Zhao frowned as she questioned the unexpected presence of Chen Guang. "What is he doing here? Tell him I'm busy and ask him to leave," she instructed her assistant. The assistant hesitated, glancing at Chen Guang. "Xiao Zhao, he seems different this time," she replied, sensing a shift in the atmosphere. "He was extremely polite with me and doesn't appear to be here to cause any trouble." Zhao's expression softened slightly as she considered the situation. In the conference room, a woman addressed CEO Chun with a hint of confusion in her voice. "CEO Chun, what are you doing here?" she asked, surprised by his unexpected presence. Chun looked up, his demeanor calm but serious, ready to explain his reasons for being there. The tension in the room was palpable as they awaited his response, both aware of the significance of this unplanned meeting. Xiao Zhao sat at the conference table, her expression unreadable as Chen Guang bowed his head, pleading, "Xiao Zhao, I'm here to apologize. I know we did something terrible, and I shouldn't have asked someone to steal your cosmetics," he said, desperation in his voice. "Please accept this money and give us another chance. Otherwise, I implore you, our company will be shut down." The weight of his words hung in the air, tension thick as Zhao considered her response. Xiao Zhao furrowed her brow, her expression a mix of confusion and suspicion. "When did I send someone to teach you a lesson? Who helped me secretly?" she wondered aloud, her mind racing to unravel the mystery. The assistant beside her shifted nervously, sensing the tension. Zhao's internal thoughts echoed with a sense of urgency. Who the hell could that person be? The atmosphere thickened as she contemplated the implications of this unexpected assistance. In the room, a young man suddenly sneezed loudly, exclaiming, "H-O-O!" Startled, he paused momentarily, his hand gripping a feather duster. The sound echoed off the walls, drawing attention to his presence. He looked around, slightly embarrassed, but determined to continue his task. He resumed dusting the surfaces, trying to shake off the interruption and focus on his work. He sat quietly, lost in thought, wondering, who could be thinking of me? A playful grin crossed his face as he imagined, it must be my beautiful wife. Hey hey hey. His heart swelled with affection, filling the moment with warmth as he envisioned her smile, completely absorbed in the joy of his thoughts. The phone rang loudly on the table, its screen lighting up with a familiar face. Ring, ring, echoed through the room. He glanced at the caller ID, recognizing the name instantly. Curiosity piqued, he reached for the phone, debating whether to answer. The anticipation built as he prepared for the conversation ahead, eager to hear what the caller had to say. Lin Feng stood on the balcony, gazing at the city skyline under the starry night. A colleague approached him, breaking the silence. Lin Feng, what's going on? He asked, concerned. Lin Feng turned, his expression serious. While I was investigating Zhao Cosmetics, my brother gathered information about Sister Zhao, he explained. The air was thick with anticipation as they both considered the implications of what they had discovered. Someone has been watching her for a while, Lin Feng added, his tone urgent. He stood in the kitchen, phone pressed to his ear, urgency in his voice. Who are they? When do they plan to act? He demanded, his brow furrowed in concern. The tension in his posture reflected his anxiety about the situation unfolding. He listened intently, absorbing the information, his mind racing as he tried to piece together the implications of the conversation. In a dimly lit room, two figures cloaked in black discussed a looming threat. They plan to act tomorrow, one said, anxiety creeping into his voice. Two figures cloaked in dark hoods stood before a symbol, their faces mostly obscured. One spoke, revealing urgent information. They plan to act tomorrow. Their assassin organization, known as Kvast, was hired through the dark web. The other remained silent, a sense of foreboding hanging in the air. He expressed frustration. I couldn't find the assassin. 5 of our brothers infiltrated the dark web to gather more information. His tone shifted to concern as he continued. But they were found by Kvast. The weight of his words hung in the air, revealing the danger they faced and the urgency of their situation. The tension between them thickened as they realized the stakes had just risen significantly. On the phone, he reminded Shunran, "You're having dinner with me tomorrow. Remember to dress appropriately." His tone was firm yet casual, emphasizing the importance of the occasion. As he spoke, his expression shifted to one of anticipation, hinting at the significance of their meeting. Shunran nodded in acknowledgement, the weight of the invitation settling in as he considered his outfit for the evening. "All right, Ms. Zhao, where do you plan to take me for dinner?" he asked with a playful tone, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. She smiled, adjusting her outfit as she considered her answer. The air between them was filled with anticipation, both eager to see where the evening would lead. Her response was light yet intriguing, setting the stage for a memorable night ahead. She raised a finger, emphasizing her point with a playful smirk. "It doesn't matter where I take you for dinner. You always have so many questions," she remarked, a teasing tone in her voice. Her companion chuckled, realizing that her curiosity was part of her charm. The light-hearted exchange highlighted their dynamic, filled with banter and a sense of familiarity. The anticipation of their dinner loomed, but for now, they enjoyed the moment, laughter echoing in the air. She crossed her arms, a huff escaping her lips as she turned away, clearly annoyed. "Humph!" she exclaimed, expressing her dissatisfaction with the situation. He stood behind her, hands slightly raised in a gesture of surrender, trying to diffuse the tension. The moment was charged with unspoken words, as both considered their next move in this escalating exchange. The air between them crackled with a mix of frustration and unresolved feelings. He stood confidently, a determined look in his eyes as he spoke. "As long as I can be by your side and protect you, nothing else matters." His voice was filled with conviction, underscoring his commitment. He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle in the air. Then, with a hint of nostalgia, he added, "You will remember me one day." The declaration hung between them, thick with emotion and unspoken promises, as he held her gaze, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The next day, they arrived at Manhwa, a renowned Western restaurant. As they approached the entrance, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. She glanced at him, a playful smile on her lips. "Ready for a surprise?" she asked, excitement dancing in her eyes. He nodded, intrigued, eager to see what she had planned. The golden facade of the restaurant sparkled in the sunlight, promising an evening filled with delightful experiences and meaningful conversations. She stood confidently, striking a pose and encouraging him with a playful smile. "Cheer up, don't embarrass me," she said, her tone light yet assertive. He responded with a slight nod. "Yes, Xiao Zhao." The exchange was filled with a mix of camaraderie and challenge, setting a lively atmosphere as they prepared for whatever lay ahead. Their dynamic hinted at a shared history, both ready to face the upcoming moments together. As they stood together, she suddenly grasped his arm, her eyes wide with surprise. "Wait!" she exclaimed, a blush creeping onto her cheeks. He looked down at her, momentarily taken aback by her sudden gesture. The unexpected intimacy of the moment hung in the air, both of them aware of the tension building between them. Their connection deepened as they shared a brief, uncertain glance, each contemplating the significance of this unexpected closeness. She looked up at him, a playful smile on her face. "Why are you so nervous? Try to relax," she teased, her tone light. He glanced down, slightly embarrassed, realizing the situation. "This is the first time you're holding my arm," he replied, his voice a mix of surprise and shyness. The moment was charged with newness, both aware of the intimacy growing between them as they stood together, the world around them fading into the background. He smiled warmly, expressing his gratitude. "Lishue, I'm glad you accepted my dinner invitation, even knowing your schedule is packed," he said, his tone sincere. There was a sense of warmth between them, as he appreciated her willingness to make time. The moment felt special, filled with anticipation for the evening ahead, as they both looked forward to enjoying each other's company despite their busy lives. As they took their seats, a voice interrupted the moment. "Please, may I know who this gentleman is by your side?" The question hung in the air, curiosity evident in the tone. The atmosphere shifted slightly, both intrigued and cautious. The man beside her straightened, prepared to respond, while she exchanged a glance with him, the unspoken question of how to navigate this unexpected inquiry passing between them. Tension mingled with anticipation as they awaited the next words. She introduced him with a confident smile. "This is my husband, Shinran. I'm taking him out for dinner. Any problems?" Her tone was assertive, clearly establishing their relationship. The air was charged with expectation as the other person processed the information, a mix of surprise and curiosity evident in their expression. Shunran stood beside her, a slight smile on his face, ready to embrace the evening ahead. The moment marked a new chapter for them, filled with possibilities and unspoken connections. "Of course not. Hello, Mr. Shin. It's a pleasure to meet you," the man exclaimed, extending his hand warmly. His smile was genuine as he continued, "You are very fortunate to be married. It must be a blessing to have a wife like Lishue." The atmosphere shifted, filled with camaraderie and respect, as Shin felt a sense of pride in the compliment. The evening unfolded with the promise of deeper connections and shared stories, setting a positive tone for their gathering. Shin Ran extended his hand confidently, introducing himself. "Hello, I'm Shin Ran, and I'm very pleased to meet you." His smile was warm, but beneath the surface, He felt tension brewing as he noticed the other man's demeanor. The man responded with a firm handshake, his expression revealing a mix of surprise and curiosity. "I just invited Zhao Lixue. I didn't expect to see you here," he remarked, clearly unsettled. Shun Ran sensed the underlying competition, the atmosphere thick with unspoken challenges as they stood face to face, vying for respect in this unexpected encounter. "I don't dare to discuss this. I'm just the general manager of Tianhua," he said modestly, a hint of humility in his voice. "I'm sure you must make a lot of money in a month." He maintained eye contact, trying to gauge the other man's reaction. The atmosphere shifted slightly as the compliment hung in the air. The other man smirked, recalling his past as a basketball team member. "A regular person wouldn't be able to handle my handshake," he replied confidently, showcasing a blend of pride and bravado. The exchange set the stage for a competitive yet respectful dialogue between them. He chuckled, shaking his head playfully. "It's really not that much," he exclaimed, a teasing tone in his voice. The atmosphere lightened as his lightheartedness broke through any tension. Laughter echoed around them, and he leaned back, clearly enjoying the moment. The exchange was filled with camaraderie, bringing a sense of ease to their conversation as they shared a light-hearted moment together. "Just a little, of course, Mr. Shin," she said with a sly smile. "You need to earn at least 1 million. Otherwise, how do you think you can make Lixue happy?" Her tone was playful yet pointed, hinting at the pressure he felt. As she crossed her arms, a confident glint in her eyes, she added, "He must be holding back. Just a bit more, and I can humiliate him." The air was thick with ambition and competitive spirit, underscoring the stakes of their conversation. He looked thoughtfully into the distance, contemplating the essence of happiness. "Happiness," he began, his voice steady, "cannot be bought with money." His declaration resonated with conviction, emphasizing a truth he deeply believed in. The atmosphere shifted as his words hung in the air, challenging those around him to reflect on their own values. The moment was charged with a sense of wisdom, inviting introspection and connection among the listeners. He reached out with determination, grasping the other man's hand firmly. "Zhao!" he called out, urgency in his voice. The moment was electric, filled with a mix of tension and anticipation as their hands locked together. The energy of the encounter surged around them, hinting at the stakes involved. Both men understood that this handshake was more than a greeting. It was a pivotal moment that could change everything. He was visibly agitated, sweat beading on his forehead as he shouted, "What?" in disbelief. The tension in the room was palpable as he struggled to comprehend the situation. Meanwhile, she maintained her composure, raising her hand with a calm smile. "Well, let's order something first," she suggested, redirecting the focus. Her tone was soothing, attempting to ease the tension as she took charge of the moment. The atmosphere shifted slightly, with her poised demeanor providing a welcome contrast to his anxiety. "Ah, yes, let's order something first," he said, his demeanor shifting to a more relaxed tone. He adjusted his suit jacket, trying to appear composed despite the earlier tension. The other man watched him closely, a hint of admiration in his eyes. "How powerful is this man's strength?" he thought, recognizing the determination behind his calm facade. The atmosphere lightened as they both prepared to move forward, ready to engage in the evening's plans. "Какое количество мест нужно?" she asked, her voice steady as she glanced at the menu. Her companion looked up, slightly surprised by the question. "What would you like to order?" he replied, a hint of curiosity in his tone. The moment felt charged with anticipation as they both considered their choices, eager to share a meal that would mark the beginning of their evening together. The atmosphere was filled with possibilities as they prepared to delve into their culinary selections. "Let Mr. Shin place the order," she insisted, her voice firm as she directed the attention back to him. The atmosphere shifted slightly as he prepared to speak. Meanwhile, someone watched intently, their focus unwavering. "I just want to see his expression when he finds Lixue on the floor," they thought, anticipation brewing within. The tension in the room heightened, the stakes becoming increasingly clear as the evening unfolded. setting the stage for unexpected turns. A sniper, concealed and camouflaged, took aim from a rooftop, the city sprawling beneath. The sounds of bang and crack echoed as shots rang out, the sniper's focus unwavering. The target was unseen, but the precision of the shots suggested a skilled marksman at work. The man sat at the table, perusing the menu with intent. He called out his order confidently, requesting 2 servings of caviar, 2 rolls of chicken with butter, a fish with salad, and finally, a stew made with red meat. His appetite was evident, and he eagerly anticipated the feast that was about to come. Mr. Liu sat at the table, contemplating the menu in front of him. A nearby assistant leaned in, offering help with a polite question. "Mr. Liu, do you want assistance with placing the order?" The atmosphere was casual yet attentive, as everyone awaited Liu's decision on what to choose for the meal. The young woman's eyes widened in surprise as she caught sight of something unexpected. The shock was evident on her face, highlighted by the bold exclamation marks that seemed to echo her emotions. She blinked, trying to comprehend what she had just seen, her heart racing with curiosity and intrigue. The moment was intense, filled with an unspoken urgency that demanded her attention. A man deliberately stepped on a woman's foot. "Tizar!" The word bubbled above his boot, indicating the intentional nature of his action. The woman reacted with a startled expression. The woman yelped in surprise, "Ouch!" as she felt a sharp pain in her foot. Anger flashed across her face as she exclaimed, "Who stepped on my foot?" She glanced around, searching for the culprit, determined to confront whoever had caused her discomfort. The waiter stumbled, his eyes wide with shock as he lost his grip on the tray. "Whoa!" he exclaimed, watching in horror as the items began to tumble. Panic surged through him as he scrambled to stabilize the situation, determined to prevent a disaster. The urgency of the moment was palpable, with everyone's attention drawn to the impending chaos. Panic erupted in the room as a voice shouted, "There's a killer here!" The crowd gasped, eyes wide with fear. "Run, quickly!" another voice urged, prompting a rush toward the exits. The atmosphere was charged with urgency as everyone scrambled to escape the looming threat, the tension palpable in the air. "Help! There's a killer here!" a frantic voice cried out, filling the room with panic. Shin ran, caught off guard, looked wide-eyed as chaos unfolded around him. The woman beside him gripped his arm tightly, urgently urging, "Shin ran, don't run." The atmosphere was charged with fear as everyone scrambled for safety, the threat looming larger with each passing moment. The woman's voice pierced through the chaos as she shouted, "Corrido!" Her expression was a mix of urgency and concern, revealing her deep connection to the person she was calling for. Behind her, a police officer stood still, ready to respond to the unfolding situation. The tension in the air was thick, as everyone braced for what might happen next, focused on the emotional moment that had just erupted. The policewoman knelt beside the shaken woman, her voice calm and reassuring. "I'm a police officer. Please stay calm," she urged, trying to ease the woman's anxiety. The woman looked up, her expression a mix of fear and confusion, gripping the officer's hand tightly. The tension in the room began to dissipate as the policewoman's presence provided a sense of safety amidst the chaos, grounding them both in the moment. "Follow me," the policewoman shouted, urgency in her voice as she sprinted ahead. The woman beside her, heart racing, grasped her hand tightly, ready to run. They dashed through the chaos, adrenaline fueling their speed. The ground blurred beneath them as they focused on escaping the imminent danger, determination etched on their faces. Every step brought them closer to safety, their bond strengthening with each hurried breath. "Shin ran!" a voice cried out, filled with urgency and fear. The woman reached out, her hand stretching toward him, but he was already sprinting away. Panic seized the woman as she cried out, "Shun ran!" A man in a dark coat fled the scene, leaving a trail of spilled liquid behind him. Another man, in a light suit, tried to comfort the distressed woman, while a hand reached out from the bottom of the panel, adding to the overall chaos. A sharp gasp filled the air as she felt the weight of the moment. "What's happening?" she murmured, her heart racing. The tension was palpable as the world around her seemed to freeze. A sense of danger loomed, and she instinctively knew to stay alert. The atmosphere crackled with uncertainty, leaving her on edge as she braced for whatever might come next. A sudden crash echoed through the room as the window shattered, fragments scattering. She instinctively ducked, heart racing at the unexpected sound. Outside, the towering buildings loomed ominously, their reflections distorted by the broken glass. The atmosphere thickened with tension, leaving everyone inside on high alert, unsure of what would follow. The officer stood with a determined expression, her gaze sharp and focused. She adjusted her cap, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. "We need to stay alert," she commanded, her voice steady. The atmosphere was thick with tension, but she remained resolute, preparing to take charge of the situation. Her presence inspired confidence in those around her, a beacon of strength amidst the uncertainty. "Cuidado!" a voice shouted, filled with urgency as the policewoman lunged forward. In a swift motion, she tackled the woman to the ground, narrowly avoiding a sharp object that whizzed past them. The impact sent them both sprawling, but the officer remained focused, ready to protect her companion. The atmosphere was charged with adrenaline, as danger loomed just above them, and they braced for what might come next. Frustration etched on his face. The sniper muttered, "Droga, eu errei de novo. Damn it, I missed again." After taking a shot, smoke curled from the barrel of his rifle as he adjusted his aim, the city sprawling beneath him. "Your aim is quite precise," he remarked, his tone steady as he adjusted his glasses. The sniper, cloaked in shadows, nodded slightly. A sniper, his face partially obscured by a balaclava and goggles, adjusted his aim. A thought bubble above him read, "Sua mira é bastante precisa." "Your aim is quite precise." He seemed both focused and slightly self-aware of his skill. He looked intrigued as he spoke. "I'm really surprised to see a top-class assassin here." His tone was a mix of admiration and caution. A man, his face partially obscured by shadow, stared intently. A thought bubble revealed his surprise. "I'm truly surprised to see a Class 3 Kvast assassin sniper." His expression suggested a mixture of awe and perhaps a hint of unease. A heavy boot slammed down, sending dust flying. The figure in the green jacket glared, demanding, "Who are you? How do you know?" A young man, pursued by a masked sniper, skidded to a halt. He demanded, "Who are you? How do you know about my organization?" The sniper, poised and ready, remained silent, their rifle trained on the young man. "My weapon," he stammered, panic creeping into his voice. "How can you be so fast?" His eyes darted around, searching for an escape, realizing he was at a disadvantage. The other figure remained calm, exuding confidence, intensifying the tension in the air. The moment hung heavy with uncertainty as the confrontation reached a critical point, both aware that the next move could change everything. "Tell me, who hired you to kill Zhao Lixue?" he demanded, his voice steady as he pointed the gun firmly. The air was thick with tension, and his eyes narrowed, searching for any sign of weakness. The other man stood frozen, caught off guard by the sudden confrontation. The stakes were high, and the moment hung in the balance, waiting for a response that could shift everything. The soldier stood defiantly, his resolve clear as he declared, "I won't talk." His voice echoed with determination, refusing to yield. The tension in the air thickened as he added ominously, "If you kill me, you'll never know." His words hung in the air, a challenge that left everyone in the vicinity on edge, contemplating the weight of his statement. The scene was charged with anticipation, the stakes higher than ever. A bullet whizzed through the air, landing with a sharp thud nearby. The soldier turned, his expression a mix of confusion and alertness. "Who is it?" he asked, scanning the surroundings for the source of the shot. The tension escalated as the sound of the bullet echoed, leaving him on high alert, ready to react to any further threats. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation, each moment heavy with uncertainty. He stood with a cigarette in hand, watching the scene unfold before him. "What a waste of time," he muttered, his tone dripping with disdain. Behind him, A defeated figure lay sprawled on the ground, a stark contrast to his calm demeanor. The air was thick with tension, but he remained unfazed, exuding an air of nonchalance amidst the chaos. A gunshot rang out, followed by a thud. A soldier lay sprawled on the ground, blood pooling around him. His weapon lay discarded nearby. The scene was punctuated by the onomatopoeia of the gunshot and the impact. The girl's eyes widened in alarm as she spotted the group of police officers outside. "There's a bunch of cops over there," she exclaimed, fear evident in her voice. Her companion, looking anxious, shifted nervously. He glanced at the man walking away, his demeanor calm despite the rising tension. The girl felt a surge of urgency, knowing they needed to act quickly before the situation escalated. The two officers burst through the door, their expressions tense as they took in the scene. One of them knelt beside the body, a grim look on his face. "Is he dead?" he asked, his voice low. The other officer stood nearby, scanning the area for clues. "Who did this?" he replied, a sense of urgency in his tone. The room felt heavy with the weight of the situation, the air thick with unanswered questions as they prepared to investigate further. A voice called out urgently, "Senior Zhao," echoing across the bustling street. The figure paused, glancing back at the source of the shout. A sense of importance surrounded the moment, drawing the attention of passers-by. The atmosphere shifted as anticipation hung in the air, everyone eager to see how this encounter would unfold. "Ms. Zhao, it's good that you're safe. The situation is very dangerous now," an officer exclaimed, relief evident in her voice. The officer held MS. A blush crept onto his cheeks as he stumbled back, a surprised "pa" escaping his lips. The onomatopoeia emphasized the suddenness of the event. His expression reflected a mixture of shock and embarrassment. Tears streamed down her face as she confronted him, her voice trembling with emotion. "How could you have the courage to leave me here? You coward!" Her words cut through the air, filled with hurt and betrayal. The weight of her disappointment hung between them, leaving him silent and remorseful, unable to meet her gaze. The atmosphere was thick with unresolved tension, echoing the depth of her pain. "Do you have any idea how worried I was?" she exclaimed, her voice filled with emotion. She clutched her chest, visibly relieved but still shaken. Her expression conveyed a mix of frustration and concern as she tried to express her feelings. The atmosphere around her was charged with intensity, reflecting the depth of her worry. The officer called out, "Senior Shen," catching his attention. He turned, a smile breaking across his face as he engaged with the woman beside him. Their conversation seemed lighthearted, contrasting sharply with the officer's serious demeanor. She watched, a mix of concern and curiosity flickering in her eyes, aware of the underlying tensions surrounding them. The moment felt charged, as if something significant was about to unfold. Qingya introduced herself with authority, stating, "My name is Qingya, and I'm a municipal police officer. I suspect the assassin was after your wife, Zhao Lixue." She looked directly at him, her expression serious. "I hope you can cooperate with us and come to the station to give your testimony." Her words hung in the air, emphasizing the gravity of the situation and the urgency for action. The weight of her request settled between them, highlighting the need for collaboration in the face of danger. He observed the police officer with a hint of admiration, thinking, "This officer is sharp." With a confident smile, he replied, "It's all right, officer." His tone was casual, but there was an underlying respect for her authority. The interaction felt light, yet the tension of the situation lingered in the background, highlighting the delicate balance between confidence and caution. The night was quiet as they stood outside the police station. The officer thanked them, saying, "Thank you for your testimony. It's late. Let me take you home." Her tone was warm, offering reassurance after the tense events of the day. He nodded, grateful for her support. As they prepared to leave the station together, the atmosphere shifted, the weight of the day slowly lifting as they stepped into the night. The police car screeched to a halt outside the station, its lights flashing urgently. An officer shouted, "Get in!" urgency lacing his voice as he motioned for the others to hurry. The atmosphere was charged with adrenaline as they rushed toward the vehicle, ready to respond to the unfolding situation. The night was thick with tension, every second counting as they prepared to take action. She sat in the back seat of the car, gazing out the window at the city lights. With a dismissive humph, she expressed her annoyance, the tension in her posture evident. The night unfolded outside, but her thoughts were clearly elsewhere, reflecting her irritation. The atmosphere in the car was thick with unspoken words, her frustration palpable as she contemplated the events that had led her here. The phone rang insistently, breaking the silence in the car. He shifted in his seat, startled by the sound. "What now?" he muttered under his breath, annoyance creeping into his voice. The atmosphere was tense as he reached for the phone, uncertain of who was calling and what they wanted. The night outside blurred past, reflecting his growing impatience as the ringing continued. He stared at the phone in disbelief as the message flashed on the screen. "Chief, there will be an ambush at your house." Panic surged. A phone buzzed, displaying an urgent message. "Chef, there's an ambush at your house." The recipient reacted with a sharp intake of breath, the seriousness of the warning evident in their posture. "All right, everyone, that's it for today's story. What did you think? I really want to hear your feedback, so don't forget to leave a comment down below. And if you like this manhwa approach, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.